Greetings, music lovers. Welcome to a very special episode of the Raaga Room with Deepa Joshi. Aesthetics is a branch of philosophy that deals with the principles of beauty and artistic taste. Musical aesthetics are defined as the beauty and emotion that is evoked when listening to a musical piece. Kaushiki Chakraborty, an internationally renowned classical vocalist, composer, and instrumentalist, is a creator of such sublime experiences. And we are so honored to have her on our show. Vidushi Kaushiki Chakraborty is an embodiment of the purity of sound. Her concerts exude a state of calm and infectious energy. A torchbearer of the Patiala Gharana, Kaushiki has made a mark as one of India's leading female musicians in the Indian classical music realm. Her intricate presentations of khayals is a confluence of technical mastery and aesthetics, and they have earned her repute across many national and global platforms. Her training with music started very early at the ITC Sangeet Research Academy, one of India's premier music institutions, where she trained under her father's guru, Pandit Jnan Prakash Ghosh, and also by her father, a leading vocalist, Padmabhushan Ajoy Chakraborty. She has also learned Carnatic Classical music under Dr. Balamurali Krishna. It is a great pleasure to welcome Vidushi Kaushiki Chakraborty to the Raaga Room. Namaste Kaushiki ji, thank you so very much. A very warm welcome to you to the Raaga Room. An absolute honor to have you on my show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
First of all, we're very excited that you're going to visit the US. We have a huge audience waiting to hear you be a part of your concert. With that, I would like to just have a quick introduction about how I was introduced to your music. About 12 to 13 years ago, I watched the video of yours, Piya Bina Suno Chaiji Marudes. You were wearing a beautiful red and green sari. Your father, Shri Ajay Chakraborty ji, playing the harmonium, exuding such admiration and pride. You were in a completely different zone. The accompanying artists were completely transfixed. And every nuance of yours, your hand gestures, they're etched in my memory as though it was yesterday. I have gone back to that composition many times. I have talked to people about the composition and the energy. I think, what happened that day was the transference of energy from you to me and how it stayed with me. So I think it's the experience that really happened. And I keep thinking, like, why did I feel so connected? And the more you think about it, you feel like it's the technical expertise and the aesthetics with which you present your music is what connects people to your music so deeply. So if you'd like to share your thoughts on your style of music, please.
You see, a style of creative art is an ongoing process. It's not something that, it's a very spontaneous, very organic and an ongoing process. It's like it goes on and on, across ages, across phases of life. So, and what is interesting is that as a musician, I can speak for myself. I don't know how it is for everyone else. I think it might be different, or a few basic things might be very similar also. But I think I can speak for myself that I was never very conscious, and I never put in conscious effort in making this journey, or choosing a particular direction and going in that particular direction. It always as if something very strong and something very how should I put it, something very big, something much beyond me, as if it guided me and as if it decided the direction for me, and I just had to follow. I just kind of had to take the leap of faith and follow the direction that was given to me, and be an instrument, honestly, because for an instrument, we know we can physically see a human being playing an instrument, but I think for a vocalist, I am the instrument. My voice is the instrument. And whoever is playing it, I just have to, all my techniques, all my skills, all my learning, all my aesthetics, all my conscious choices of what I sing and how I sing. It's like preparing that instrument so that the one who's playing it uh, can play it uninhibited, so that I don't hinder the process, so that I don't come in the way, so that I don't be an obstruction to what is being, where I'm being guided. So I've always tried to learn, practice, evolve, grow better, yes. But at the same time, I think how I think I've started enjoying the journey so much more is by opening up to what is being told to me, and by opening up to the communication that happens on a very, very deep level. But it's not subtle, it's very strong. It's not something that as a receptor I can miss. I think that's what has been the process for me for a long time, to prepare myself so that I don't miss that communication, so that I hear it loud and clear, so that I follow it, and so that I'm not scared to take that leap of faith, and so that I don't hinder, and um, I don't become the limitation and the restriction in the process.
My God, such profound thoughts and so resonating. And I also have to tell you that I have been sleepless because I was in excitement of having a conversation with you. That's because of your
Very
depth
sweet.
of your understanding, the place of wisdom where you come from, and completely understand the fact that there is a divine intervention, or there is something, a higher power that is guiding, and for us to be able to have an internal tuning so both of us are in sync. So the journey again is always ongoing, the journey again is always better than the last one, and that is such a beautiful process, and we see that happen across your career in your music, and I just love what you said.
And
um,
what sometimes happens is, the more you achieve, the bigger the pedestal, the higher the achievement, the higher the public perception is. Uh, the artist tends to become more and more protective of that, and more like holding it tight with both hands. So I think I've been very, very blessed, and I'm eternally grateful to whatever chooses the course of my life and how it goes. That I think I started as a very small child learning music, insignificant, didn't know anything else, and this was the only mode of my life. And I did not choose music. I think music chose me way before I could choose anything for my life. So, I think with age and with by God's grace, the kind of acceptance, the kind of love, the kind of blessings that I've got, I think it has opened up my energies and my soul, and I feel more and more blessed and more grateful. And a blessed life is always the most happy life, and a life of gratitude is a fearless life. And if I've realized one thing, that if I can't be fearless in music, there's no other aspect in my life where I can live fully. I can be totally myself, totally uninhibited, totally fearless, totally, expressive, totally nothing holding back, nothing stopping me from being anything that I want to be in that moment. So if I can't be that in music, then I will lose this wonderful opportunity of experiencing what I can experience if I don't open up to music.
Wow. And sorry, go ahead.
No, so that's what it is. It's like one more concert is not one more opportunity to prove. One more concert is one more opportunity to experience.
And it is the same force or the same energy that you were talking about that also encourages us to step out of a comfort zone. As comfortable as we are in a certain setup with our own realm of success, this is the same energy that pushes you a bit forward and says, you go do it, I'll be there. So, with all the butterflies, with all the adrenaline, I think this energy prepares us to go onto a higher stage, at different points in time. And that is really a blessed feeling. And I think gratitude is the safest and the purest form of prayer. The more content we are with what we have is when we know to reach for more, and it takes us. We don't have to do much. It takes us, and so wonderful that that place of it's also a place of surrender, I think, because you have now done your part and you are willing to surrender to that force to say, you know
Yeah, and
what, you've got
surrender
me.
is a quality of a very, very powerful individual. Surrender is not something that an insecure person, a weak person can ever do. We think that conquering is a very powerful act, but I think devotion is a very, very powerful act. You can't surrender unless you're totally secure, totally safe, and totally fearless, and totally, you can totally trust the power has actually, taken care of you. When you feel that, then only you can surrender. And surrendering is a very, very is a quality, is an essence of a very, very powerful being. And that power comes from trust. That power comes from a sense of protection. The power comes from a sense of uh, you know a very true sense of knowing that there's something so much bigger than me, and I'm so insignificant that there's nothing that I need to really protect and hold back. Because, if I can surrender the little thing that I am, this huge cosmos is taking care of me, and this huge framework is there, all, protecting me and looking after me. So that feeling is very empowering. And I think I feel that very truly, genuinely, when I sing. And maybe I can't express that in words, the feeling. And how much ever I say, it'll never be enough to say what the feeling is like and how blissful it is. But I think I feel that every day when I sing.
It's a meditation. It's the ultimate form of achieving a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of stillness at the point of meditation. Nothing more than music to bring us close to that space, right? And I think everybody, whoever has gone through it, will resonate with what you're saying. And as much as you say that you can't put it in words, I think people who have experienced it can definitely attest to the fact of what you are saying. Amazing. And for a creative soul, especially when you are in music, because it is such a confluence of so many emotions, so many sentiments, and somewhere at some point in time, to absorb all of that and just be on the stage, owning all of this, and it'll just let the experience take over. I have heard you say a couple times about that sacred space, just before a concert begins, where you say that sa is the most difficult thing to start. And I was very fascinated by that thought, and I just wanted to hear from you what your thoughts were on that.
I would take one step back and say that, before the first note that I sing, the silence from where the entire music comes from, that one moment of silence before I sing the first note, that is such an intense and such a powerful womb of everything that's going to happen in that day's concert or performance or riyaz. So that one moment of intense focus, that one moment of intense stillness, yet supremely conscious of that silence. So it's not a passive silence, it's a very conscious, potent silence from where that's the seed for the music to happen, whatever next is coming up. So that is a very powerful moment. And then comes the sa, then comes the first note that breaks the silence. So breaking that silence is one of the biggest challenges of a performance, because you only break the silence when it's worth it. So your performance has to prove that the silence that you have broken, your music is worth. So I think the first note and the anchor note, which is the sa, in Indian classical music, especially Indian music, something which is essentially Indian. There, for us, the note sa and the beat, which is sam, which is the first beat of the rhythm cycle, these are very, very, very significant and very potent and very important. And also, if you follow Indian tradition, Indian philosophy, Indian spirituality, that concept of one, that concept of that absolute one, from where everything stems out, and after the culmination of that journey, everything goes back to that abstract one. You call it the Om, you call it the Brahma, you call it, whatever you want to call it. So that one spiritual anchor that your life and your activities kind of revolve around. I think in music, that fulcrum, that anchor is signified by the sa and the sam, melodically the sa and rhythmically the sam. So that these are the reasons why I think that finding your comfort and finding your grounding in the sa and breaking the silence to approach that sa is a very meditative, spiritual, intense process to get to that sa and to find your comfort in that sa.
Absolutely. And also that moment that you talked about, the power of that moment too, when the artist is on the stage, an artist wants to give the best to the audience. An audience is an anticipation of beginning a concert. They want the artist to do well. They want to experience a great concert. And all of those energies are encapsulated in that moment before the actual concert. It's like the birth of a baby, just like you said. It's brought you to that space. Again, having said that, there is also that moment after a concert ends, like after like a gong of a bell in the temple, when you hear the frequency, and there's that moment when you just absorb it all in. When the concert is done, you've gone from a sa and come back to sa, and now you have this again, the audience appreciating and you introspecting or taking pride of how the concert went. Even that is such a beautiful moment, isn't it?
I don't remember taking pride of any of my concerts, honestly. Why? Because it's not something that I'm trying to sound like, humble or something. It's not like that. I think after a concert, there are a few moments of numb that I've always felt. Because as I said, a concert is a very one, the audience would think that a concert is it's when I'm very active, when I'm doing a lot of things. But actually, inside of me, there's a huge silence that I'm churning into. and I'm getting more and more and more and more dissolved into it. So actually, when the audience comes and asks for a selfie, I'm still somewhere else, lost. So it takes some time for me to come back, and that high of that churning into that silence, it's sometimes very, very intoxicating. It's sometimes, even after a concert, I come back to the hotel, I have my dinner with my musicians. I generally try to have the post concert dinner with my musicians because it still goes on. Actually, I honestly think a concert starts from when I start getting ready. So from that time, my breathing settle, like my breath settles in a particular way. I breathe deeper. My mind focuses onto a lot of things. My mind, curtails down a lot of,
Noise.
noises and, you know, uh, distractions and all that. So the process starts from when I, iron my clothes and start putting my makeup and all that. So it's just a process um, of preparing the deity that you want to worship. It's like creating your own deity every day, and then you do that entire ritual of finding the god inside the deity. And then after the rituals are over, for the external world, for you have found your god in the deity. Now where do you go? You can't leave the deity anymore. So it's very emotional. It's an attachment that, if I talk to you more about this, I'll end up crying because it's so overwhelming and it's very personal. I still don't know. I'll repeat this too many times, I think, during the interview, that I really don't. I don't think I'm finding the right words because, it's a feeling that I don't think can be talked about. It's very personal. It's very, very personal. So the concert is not only 2 hours. The concert is, the process of finding the devotion within you, tapping into that spot, and creating your deity, and then finding that god inside the deity, inside the external figure and structure and shape and size, which everyone can see. So a performance is, yes, definitely for the audience. I'm coming and performing for the audience, but it's also my own ritual of finding my god in the deity that I'm trying to create that day uh, with my musical shapes and curves and sculptures and strokes of painting. Very abstract, very up in the air, but very real.
Salute to the power that is guiding you, and salute to how you are so tuned to yourself. I think you put in a lot. I wouldn't say conscious, but I think you are tuned in a way that you're connected with yourself so deeply. So it's only when we try to make a connection within is when we start to identify things that are not um, connected to our core, and kind of eliminate those to make sure that we have pure, robust um, path to walk on, and it takes us. And I am so glad. And it's also, I did read somewhere that you have your master's in philosophy, and
Yeah,
I was just thinking about it. What better, right, with music, for a creative art like music? Philosophy can be such a beautiful medium to introspect, to analyze, and to even somewhat abstractly identify a sentiment. Um, so, have there been situations where you have learned a composition in your childhood, and with your life experiences, uh, by adding different flavors, dimensions of your life, revisited those compositions again, felt differently about it?
oh yeah, compositions, rags, rags that I had learned as a child. I've revisited them, in different phases of my life, and they are like new rags. It's like they're absolutely new. Their connection with me is very different, very. um, as if they've completely changed their perspective, or maybe I have changed my perspective. So it's reorienting myself and finding a very new spot in that very known rag or a composition, which was up until then was very unknown to me. So it's like a revelation. It's like a, to myself, it's like a, oh wow, I didn't do this before, or I didn't see it here. So, but it was here all along. But it's just, I didn't I didn't look into that direction, or maybe that layer, or maybe that angle. So it always happens.
Like peeling so many layers to get to the core, and that's always a continuous journey, because the core is very elusive. I think because the more we try,
there is no static core. There, as I always say, best is not a point to arrive. Best is a journey.
Absolutely.
So the core is not a point to arrive. Till you have life, you grow, and your core grows as well. So you keep on peeling, and that's so beautiful.
Each destination always evolves along with us. And that also signifies the progress that we have made in our life. When you just look back and see how far we have come, it's a good moment. Sometimes it's also very humbling. It also makes us feel, like you just said, that we feel so insignificant in the bigger scope of things. So, for as long as you can recall, I think going back to your earliest of your memory, you have been in music, you've been surrounded by music, your mother, your father, your early years. So, what has it been like, your early years with music, Kaushiki?
See, honestly speaking, I don't have any memory of any time or age in my life when music wasn't a very like a integral part of my life. And that's not because I was choosing music as a profession. That was not because I wanted to achieve something doing music. That was just the oxygen that you never see or question, but it's obvious.
Yeah.
So I did not know any other way of life. And yeah, of course, my parents, my uncle, my grandparents, everyone was, some were professional musicians, others were passionate musicians. So music has always been, there hasn't been anybody in my life, including my husband and son, who has not been into music. So my friends used to say, isn't that boring to have musicians all around all the time? But there's no other perspective. I value that. I respect that. And I think I have many, many friends now uh, who are into other professions, but who love music from a very different spot. And it's very interesting how they love the same thing, but they look at it from a very, very different place. But so I get to see those perspectives now. But growing up, I honestly didn't have any other way to live life but to practice first thing in the morning, and then go to school, come back, practice again, sit in Baba's class, learn, and then practice and sing and listen and sing and listen and practice. So loop. That has always been my loop, and a very happy loop, very happy loop. And I learned life through music. So everything that I've learned about life, pleasant experiences, unpleasant experiences, things that I've liked, things that I've apparently not liked. I think music helped me make sense of all of that.
Yeah, definitely. You have grown up in an environment of music. You have shared the stage with the creme de la creme of music. You have performed at very many stages. So, are there some experiences you'd like to share where you were inspired by either a performance or some artists? Or we get to learn a lot just by seeing and observing some people from afar. So, some experiences you'd like to share.
Oh yeah, of course. Baba. Mentioning Baba doesn't really count into being, in mentioning an inspiration, because he's my guru. First of all, he's my guru. So um, everything that I I know, everything that I have learned, everything that I can think, everything that I could create, everything that I could anticipate, everything that I can ever understand in music is all thanks to him, because the seed is him only. It's his. I don't know the English word for sanskar, but that's what I want to say, because I have never really found a word which says what sanskar says. So the seed, the sanskar is his. So you know. And that sanskar has brought me wherever I am and will continue to take me wherever this journey takes me. But apart from him, um, of course, I always say that Uncle Ji, Ustad Zakir Hussain Ji, has been my North Star. He's always been a person that I've looked up to for many aspects, like for many different shades of his life, of his journey, and that's like a book that I've read very carefully. He's like a project that I have researched. It's like my research paper. Um, I have my first photograph of him and me when I'm 3 years old and I'm on his lap, and I didn't know who this person is, and I didn't know, what the relevance of this picture could be going, ahead. But yes, from then till now, he has always been my philosopher guide. I ask him 1,000, a lakh questions, and he has been very, very kind. Um, and there are so many things that I have admired in him, and I would take the risk of saying music being one of them, because there are so many um, aspects and shades and perspectives and angles of his life, of his character, of his thought process, that one really needs to see to understand what makes someone the person that he is, the musician that he is, the pioneer that he is, the benchmark that he has set, and the inspiration, the ever inspiring guide that he has been for generations. And he's not only my inspiration, he's my son's inspiration as well. So it's like a few hundreds of people and thousands of people and generations of people that have been inspired by him. And as a girl, I think I've been greatly inspired by the female musicians of the yesteryears, of the olden era, for the kind of society that they were in, and for the kind of impact that they've made with the difficulties that they had to go through, yet being ever graceful, ever dignified, respectfully pursuing their profession, becoming who they have become, and for showing us the paths and for paving the way for us to even imagine that it's possible for girls to kind of respectfully come to a platform and with equal respect and pride and grace to kind of sit on a center stage and hold it together. Uh, so of course the societies have changed, things have become slightly easier apparently. Deep down, certain things will take a lot of time to change, I believe. But yes, so yeah, that's about it. But there are hundreds and thousands of people that I should name, to be fair. But I think for very specific reasons, I want to name these people, for being very for giving me definite reasons to to follow their paths and to learn from their lives and music. Musically, every single musician, including Indian classical and non-classical musicians as well, musically everyone has been a guiding spirit in my life.
Anything that comes from a place of a trueness or core actually has the power to touch us. And you would agree with me, if I say that when one is focused on doing something good, doing without really for not for getting attention, but constantly working on oneself, and you see them growing, you see them progressing, that itself is such a huge inspiration to all of us. um, in the course of the journey of Raga Room, I have been so fortunate to come close to musicians, research about musicians. And I think if you were to ask me what is the high in your life, I think that's what it is. Researching about them is the greatest high in my life, because recently I was researching about Ustad Bismillah Khan Sahab, and there was the speech that he gave in London. I may have watched it at least like 100 times, and every time I've just had I've had a tear. And I think the humility of the person just is like so huge. It is so at large. It is telling you something. It is doing something. It's not a tangible feeling, but somewhere it's permeating. It's telling you that there's so much to learn. Oh my God, there is so much to learn. We are nothing. Look at these people. And
I did an interview during the lockdown. So there was an interview series that I was doing with a few people. So I did an interview session with Hariji and and he makes it sound so simple, but everyone who has practiced music, who has learned music, and who has heard his music would know that he's just supremely humble to sound like that after doing what he's done in the field of music. And he flute is synonymous to his name and to his identity. It's not easy. It has not been easy, and his personal life also, the struggles, the the fight that he very silently fought and now very smilingly mentions. It's not easy. It's not easy, and there's so much to learn for a lifetime. A lifetime is so short for us to only know who these what these presents mean to a student of music who wants to, who's open to learning from these lives. One life is like a few lifetimes of lessons.
what you said was just amazing. Fighting a challenge softly and then smiling after. It's so profound. And like I said, like I'm totally in awe of your wisdom and and the place that you come from when you speak. It is phenomenal. And I am so inspired watching you speak your music. And Kaushiki ji, if you were to unwind, what is a music what is it that you would gravitate towards?
Honestly, I don't unwind with music. It's difficult for me to unwind with music because it's not a I can't listen like an audience. I think I listen like a student. I can't listen to music passively. I always have to listen to music actively. I have to make sense. I have to understand. I can't just listen and not pay attention. So background music concept doesn't work. Even if I go to restaurants and even if I'm in the middle of a conversation, there's some phrase, something, I'll always listen to that. A few days back, I was in Delhi and I called the waiter and I said, whose voice is this? Whose music is going on? He said, I have no idea. I said, can you please find out? Because it's a beautiful voice. So, so music is not like a, passive listening process for me. I think I unwind when I travel. I think I unwind in silence. We as a family, we love to travel and we love to go to places where there's no network, there's no five-star hotels, and there's mountains and silence and birds chirping and not too many people and not too much shopping and quiet places far and beyond one or two homestays, and we would go and stay there. So I think that's how I unwind, and I also take some solo trips, which are very important for me.
It's very underrated, actually. Yes, that is so true. And if the more we learn to be with ourselves, enjoy ourselves, I think that is such a great experience.
Yeah. So again, peeling off the layers of role playing, of looking at ourselves from somebody else's prism and things like that. So I think professionally I get a lot of time to be on my own, but that doesn't work because I'm always in front of people. I'm always in public eye. I'm always my guards are up, and I know that I'm being watched. And that has been happening since a very, very early childhood. And I think only a childhood like mine will understand how latent yet huge that pressure is. That you can't be stupid as a child. You can't say stupid things. You can't be rubbish. You can't make mistakes. You always have to make sense and be correct and be example worthy for other people. It's not easy, but again, that's the only childhood I've ever known, so no complaints there. But yes, it's as I grew up, I think I started realizing the importance of being alone and being comfortable and happy there.
It's not even a surprise because somebody who knows your persona, that's exactly how we would think you are. Because, when you were talking about detoxing from technology, going to the mountains, and mountains are a beautiful place to kind of reflect, and it happens very organically. You just look at the mountains and you feel like you're a minuscule. The nature's trying to tell you something.
Perspective ratio, the closer you go, the bigger they become. And the smaller you become. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. So life comes a full circle with you as a little girl playing with your father. Now we see your son Rashid we see your Ria sessions, and it is so fabulous. And he looks on to you for I think he looks at you for like, am I doing this right? And you're giving him so much encouragement. So completely enjoying it. So do tell us about Rashid and how you practice together.
I think I am honestly speaking. I think all woods touched and all my gratitude and every prayer for protection and grace. But I think I'm in a beautiful spot in my life where a lot of things have resolved, where a lot of things have healed, where a lot of things have come to a point where clarity is a lot more, and it's not insecurity or fear or that greed or that need of wanting more that drives me anymore. I think I'm in a very peaceful spot. I'm just that happiness of just being and enjoying it. So I think I'm slowly and steadily becoming a good spectator of this life process called Kaushiki, which is very relaxing. So I think with motherhood, a lot of things changed for me because I have known my childhood and I've known parenting from a child's perspective, and I've seen my parents do it in a certain way. But when I became a parent, I think again the guidance has been very subtle yet very powerful in my life. So I think I was always guided to become a very different parent to my son, which is, like the cool term says that you become friends and your children are your friends, and you're not a parent, you're just a friend. I'm not a friend. I'm a parent, but I'm a parent who's a co-learner. So we learn together. There are things that I don't know that he talks about black holes and artificial intelligence, and we watch documentaries together. And he says every single day he says 1 lakh statements which starts with "Tumi jano" in Bengali, which means so it's that kind of parenting where he always thinks that I don't know anything. And he is here to help me. He's here to help me with more and more information, and all information comes from Google, and some of them are rubbish. But that's our kind of conversation, and that's our dinner table kind of conversation. Me and Partho, we are just quiet listeners, And every 2 seconds, one sentence to Bijano is like, he's always excited, he's always curious about it. So when it comes to music, I am a very hard taskmaster. I am strict. I respect discipline because I know what it can teach me and him. And I know that it's impossible for him to see what is the end of that path. Not the end, but one phase of culmination of that path that discipline and hard work can take you to. It's impossible for him to see that. But I know that eventually he will look back and he will thank the process. And I know that certain things have to be learned. Discipline and hard work is not something that we are born with. It's something that we have to learn. And it might not be very easy to learn, but it has to be learned. So first of all, I needed him to agree to the process that even if it's unpleasant, he has to learn it, which is a big challenge because we sometimes don't want to learn. We are not okay with learning anything that is not pleasant for us. That's not a happy experience for us. So sometimes learnings are such that the process of learning is painful, but at the end of the learning, we understand that this is perhaps worth it. The process was worth it. So by God's grace, I think his love for music helps there. So he's okay with the discipline because he loves what he's doing. So and I think that much tuning of being a co-learner has been established, that he knows that he's not alone in the process, and we are doing it together, and we are willingly happy. For me and Partha, we are willingly happy to walk this path again with him.
Wow.
So, and it's not, and because we've done that, and because we've once lived that phase of our lives, we know that what it culminates into. So it's not unpleasant for us to do it all over again, because we know that it only sharpens your skills and it only helps you become better. And sometimes going back to the drawing board is the best thing that you can do. So doing it with your child is the best opportunity that you can ever get, because then you have someone to take you back to your drawing board. Sometimes we lose our way back. We remember how to go back to our drawing bods. And
we may not even have the avenue to go back to the drawing board unless we have a reason to.
Yeah. So, So one is to have a reason to go back to it, and one is to have to value the process of going back sometimes. To value the process of revisiting those, very frustrating hours of nothing is happening and I don't know where I'm going. So it's sometimes nice to stay connected to that frustration, that hunger, that it makes you feel alive. I think Rishit gives us the opportunity to go back to our drawing boards. And it's a journey where we both are, like all three of us, the both sides of the process are enjoying and learning something new every day.
And as hard as it is to follow a discipline, the sense of accomplishment that comes from it can be such an addictive feeling. Once you've tasted it, you want to do better.
It's difficult to handle frustration. It's difficult to handle hard work. But I think it's more difficult to handle success. It's much more difficult. Much more difficult.
I was going to ask you what message you have for the younger generation, and you articulated it so beautifully in the last few minutes. And that is such a fabulous message, to be open to learning, but also to follow certain guidelines, to have a sense of discipline, and certain things have to be done a certain way. And after you have kind of like fine-tuned the framework, you are then open to discovering and making it evolve the way that you see fit. But the foundation, the grammar has to be correct.
I think one more thing I need to mention here, that I love the younger generation for their honesty.
Yeah.
They're not hypocritical. They're not pretending to be understanding something that they actually don't understand. I think that's where I really, really learned this thing from them, that, they don't come and say your concert was mesmerizing. They're saying you're cool, which I love. It's just not being someone else to sound correct or to be accepted or to fit into the framework of classical music. Because you're coming and talking to a classical musician, you have to be a certain way, choose your vocabulary a certain way. So I think that if you approach music with that honesty, with that truth, I think the connection will be much more honest and sincere and true. Not everybody will become a musician, but a genuine connection with a creative art form as rich as Indian music, the truth of it is very important for me. True heart singing a less correct note is more music to me than a pretentious heart singing a very plastic correct line of music.
Correct are all your blessings, and whenever I'm making a mistake, it's completely my responsibility. I'll go back, work on myself, and come back.
So true. Actually, that is very true. And also that we are so blessed with such a huge dimension of art that is given to us, that you don't necessarily have to be a musician, but you can do so many other ancillary things around it to appreciate
Becoming a
music.
musician, our understanding of becoming a musician is to become a performer, which is so wrong. A teacher is a musician, a composer is a musician, an arranger is a musician, a producer is a musician, a percussionist is a musician, who plays the small bell, the side rhythms, he's a musician at heart.
Patrons are musicians too.
Patrons are musicians.
I keep thinking, even if you do not understand.
Is who has a very solid bonding with music.
Exactly.
And who can hear music in silence, in different things. There's music in everything. The conversation that we are having, you might have, I don't know whether my people have been difficult with you or not, but I am the most difficult person generally. I try to say no to interviews. I said, no, I don't want to do interviews. I'm like, I'm okay, away from this totally madness, that I'm a part of professionally. I try to stay away. So if you search online, there are very few interviews and few appearances here and there that I do. I'm very homesick, and I'm into a totally wrong profession when it comes to how homesick I am. So I like to be at home. I want to chill. I want to cook. I want to chat with people. I want to sleep. I want to chat with my husband and son about rubbish, inconsequential things. That's who I am. I like to travel. I like to disappear. I like to switch my phone off and all that. So for someone like this, to sing a very correct music that fits in a box is totally impossible. So as a child, when I was taught what the box is, I learned it very, very carefully. With all my attention and devotion and discipline, I learned the box. But now I realize I learned the box to open it at a point of time and see what's outside. And I'm so secure and I'm not scared of leaving the box because I know it very well. I can come back to it at any point in time. It's like knowing your home. If you're so, solidly settled in your home, you can go out, go any direction without being scared of whether you'll be able to come back or not.
Yeah.
If you have just moved into a home, you'll be scared, if I lose this lane, I might just not know how to come back. But if you're settled in a home, like in India, we stay in a home for 5 generations, so you can't lose your way. It's like that. So that correctness is amazing. But I think the bonding is so much more important, that in the process, correctness will automatically happen.
Yeah.
But if you pursue correctness, the bonding might never happen.
True.
So that's very important for me, for the younger generation. I think for a long, long time, we've scared so much of them, saying that this is classical music, you have to behave certain way, wear certain kind of clothes, sit in a certain way, talk in a certain way. Then only you are eligible and it's your cup of tea. I think it's very wrong. It's just another kind of musical expression. If it talks to you, it talks to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
True.
you don't
And
have to understand to love it. We just love before we understand anything. And whoever has loved in life will know that you love way before you understand anything. So,
true.
and because you love, you want to understand it in a certain way. If you don't love, you don't want to understand such certain things. If you love, you want to understand certain things, and that's about a relationship. That is how communications happen. That is how bondings happen. You don't understand and then love. You love because you just love. And then you start understanding that, then you start understanding with so much love. And then the bonding gets deeper and deeper.
It's a beautiful process, and the investors of experiences are the ones who will never be unhappy. And that if we are able to experience that, and if we are able to give it to our children, nothing better than that, because all they need is a stage. They just need to be shown that this is what it is. After that, the journey is theirs. And also,
Exactly.
very correctly,
You
you
have
said,
to
like,
give it to them. If we live it properly, they will take it automatically. It's not
children.
something that you can give or take. It's something that embraces you and makes you a part of it. It just engulfs you in a way, like a very, very warm, loving embrace.
Absolutely. I'd also love to take this moment to just go back a minute when you said that you do not do many interviews. And I feel very, very honored from the bottom of my heart that you agreed to do this with me. And I think because you have so much to offer, like I kept going back to your interviews multiple times and I stopped and I listened to it a couple more times and I felt like, you're coming from such a place of truth. We need to hear these things. We need to experience those things because that's where true music comes from. And for me, this is a huge highlight that I'm able to talk to you, and even more excited that you're traveling
Really,
here.
really, it's been real pleasure talking to you. And, I think I digressed a little bit. But what I wanted to say that, this interview and, how it relaxes both of us and how we are in a happy, comfortable space. It doesn't anymore feel like we're meeting for the first time. It's like we are connecting on a very deeper level. I think this is music as well, without a note being sung.
That's exactly what I was saying. I haven't been able to sleep all night because I understood your personality. When I was reading about you, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be so beautiful when we get to have a conversation. This excitement literally kept me up, and in my head, I was even thinking like choti mo badi baat. But I was thinking if we get to spend some time together, there's going to be so much to discuss. There's going to be so much that we can talk about. And this interview was that one first step. And I feel so very grateful for that. And I know you're traveling.
Happy that we could do this together and we had this lovely time. I really, really enjoyed myself, truly.
Thank you so much, Kaushiki ji. Wish you all the very best for all your upcoming concerts. And we are so excited to see you in person here in Michigan. And above all, I'm going to pray to that force to get stronger, to always hold your hand, to always give you happiness, to give you a greater sense of fulfillment, and for you to spread the joy to everybody that comes in contact with you, to the world at large. And that is going to be such, and that I think that's the purpose too. I think, like you did say in one of your interviews, that everybody has a purpose and the purpose really reveals itself to us sometime. So through
That
you,
is always
many.
when those people ask me, when did you choose music? When did you, decide that you'll become a musician? And as I said in the beginning, my purpose chose me so early in life that I never had to make that effort to look around and see, where my life makes sense. I think, and sometimes people ask, if not music, then what would you have become? And I always say that, and it was such a spontaneous answer the first time this question was asked, that I said, if not music, then not me. Then what's the reason for this life to happen? It's just a waste. Because uh, I don't see this life being meaningful in any other way but to become the voice that wants to speak through me, for the force that wants to express itself through me, and that force itself has chosen this life and planned everything the way that I was born into a family. I got Baba as my guru, and Ma, and then Guruji, Guru Jnan Prakash Ghosh ji, and then Balamurali ji, and then this environment of Sangeet Research Academy. All these things can't be planned by me. I'm just too small and insignificant to have planned everything. So it's just not my planning. And if it's not, then it puts me in a super comfortable spot of totally devoting this life to whatever chooses the best for me. And it has always chosen the best for me at the right time, at the right way. And sometimes, as I said, sometimes the process of learning hasn't been very pleasurable, but no complaints at all, because I know, and I totally, totally, totally trust with every, iota of belief and faith that I have, that it is taking me to a beautiful spot.
It's only going to take you. The vision that I have in my head as you're saying this is like very still flowing water, and the calmness that you get when you see that gentle, subtle flow. I feel that's what it is. And may you find greater heights. May you enjoy each of those experiences at every destination. May you enjoy that, and may the discovery be so beautiful. And we're all cheering for you. And your music is just fabulous. And looking so forward to seeing you in person, Kaushiki.
Yes, I'm so looking forward to coming to Michigan and sharing music with all of you. Really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Many, many thanks for coming to the Raaga Room.
Thank you so much.
Dear viewers, we thank you so very much for joining us on this episode of the Raaga Room. We hope you continue to watch us in the upcoming episodes where the soul listens as notes speak. Thank you and have a wonderful day.